what were some key lessons that you learned from being the president of MOGS that helped you climb up to this ladder?
Listen to people. So when I came back from UK, I didn't have any place to start practice. It was the year 1999 when Dhirubhai Ambani wanted to start some turn of the century project. I have treated couples, and if I meet them at a social event, they refuse to acknowledge you.
Dr. Ameet Patki, a leader of the Indian fertility world, shares groundbreaking insights on modern reproductive medicine.
A revolution, a scientific revolution.
As a fertility specialist, we should be the ones who should talk about adoption. It is a noble profession. So we feel ashamed to earn.
What's that one mantra of success which holds true for anyone who's entering this world?
Believe in luck. I strongly believe in luck. It is a law which is not fully understood, I think, even by the people who are enforcing it. But that happens when bureaucrats are getting into medical practice.
So welcome to the very first episode of this ISAR Podcast series. This is a platform where we go beyond the science and the statistics of reproductive medicines and literally dig into the real-time stories of the leaders, the pioneers, and the doctors who have been shaping this field of reproductive medicine in our country. The very first guest doesn't really need any kind of an introduction, but I will honestly try my level best to give that justice. We have with us Dr. Ameet Patki, who is the president of Indian Society of Assisted Reproduction, the largest and the most influential organization of reproductive practitioners in our country. Sir started his journey from being literally the first generation IVF practitioner in the country. He took up that leap and he started his practice in the time when IVF was so new, when the patient awareness was so low. Rather than just becoming the pioneer in this field and becoming a well-known doctor in reproductive medicine in the country, he took over as the leader and the president of this vast community of IVF practitioners in the country today. It's such a privilege to host you, sir, here today. And I am all set to have those wonderful real-time insights from your life's journey.
Thank you so much, Garima, for having me as your opening batsman. And I hope I do full justice to your podcast.
So my first thing is that when you started your practice, that was a time and that was an era. It was all about OBGY. We were doing obstetrics, we were doing gynecology. Obstetrics had a wonderful outcome of giving a child to a baby, to a couple. And then you chose to pick up a field which was so new. I mean, people were even afraid to talk about infertility as a word, going to a doctor for this particular thing. So what was going on in your mind at that point of time? I mean, what was that real thing that gave you the conviction to take a leap forward and be a pioneer in this?
You know, I come from a family of architects and engineers. My father and his 6 brothers are all architects and engineers. But it was one of my grandfather's wish that we have a doctor in the family. And I think that inspired my parents to drill into my brain that you have to be that doctor from the family. Now we have lots of doctors in the family and very few engineers and architects. So virtually I was the first generation doctor. So didn't have anybody to mentor or to guide. It was mainly just out of peer discussion that I came into medicine. I was fortunate to study in Mumbai. And amongst all the specialities that I saw during my medical school days, I thought obstetrics and gynecology was the only specialty which actually gave true joy to the couple and actually brought life into the world. The rest of them saved lives or decreased your pain and illness. So that was what attracted me to obs and gynae. And once I did my post graduation, I didn't want to start a routine obs and gynae practice. And that's where I think divine intervention came, because I applied for a job in UK, and this may sound like a fib, but my employers in UK didn't know I was in Mumbai when I applied, so they gave me the job thinking I'm in UK. And I left the country in 4 days thinking I will be there for 3 months, and I stayed back for 6 years. So when I took up infertility in the UK, it was one of the most toughest fellowships to get in UK, but I was in the right place at the right time and I got that fellowship. But through the fellowship, I realized that I wanted to go back to my country. My English consultants were aghast when I told them. They said, your country, people come out of everybody's ears. You'll die of no practice. But I knew infertility was everywhere and it was only growing. And it didn't matter if your neighbor had 5 children. If you didn't have a child, you were unhappy. And that's what brought me back to Mumbai. Having said that, again, didn't have any mentors, didn't have any godfather. But I think it was just resilience that made me start my practice in Mumbai. People were very accommodative. I met some of the best people in UK and London and in Mumbai who gave me a helping hand. And that's how it all started. So I really feel that there is some divine hand on your head. And I think if you long for something, you get it.
So inspiring, sir. So, I mean, when you went to UK, that was still a time UK was adopting to that particular technology. Even the community was getting little open to the whole idea
True.
of at least the discussion. You came with a very noble idea to help couples in the country. But here, the problem, I think, at that point of time, the couples were not ready to help themselves.
Absolutely.
So, at that time, and I'm sure there must have been even colleagues and community around who would have said that it's easy to practice obs and gynae. Why are you taking?
Actually, it was. Having an English qualification, I was getting calls from all
Corporates.
corporates to join them. But I didn't want to join as a routine obstetrician. I wanted to join as a fertility specialist. And fertility was in hushed tones. Infertility in our country, and even to this date, to a certain extent, is not a couple issue. It's a family issue. It's a social issue. So people are ostracized. People don't want to say that they have infertility problems. And I've got umpteen examples where I have treated couples, and if I meet them at a social event, they refuse to acknowledge you, because all their friends and colleagues would say, how do you know him? Because he's a fertility specialist. And then they ring you up next day and say, doc, I'm sorry I didn't show recognition because I didn't want to tell people. But that's fine. But now things have improved in the last 28 years since I've come back from UK. Now people acknowledge their problems. People are happy to share their stories. And now so many of my patients have started support groups. So many of my patients are happy to come and talk to couples. I think instead of talking to a counselor, which my couples do, but if they talk to somebody who's actually taken treatment by some method, then they feel that this is a first person telling me. So they're happy to sort of listen and maybe get convinced that this is what they need. So infertility has grown in India. And now I find it is easier than what it was 28 years back. When I used to talk about infertility, even to the medical field, they would have so many myths about how we have children and whether it is legal, whether it's ethical. But now things have opened up. And I'm glad it has opened up. I think it all goes to people who were before me into practice, who brought so much of awareness and respect to that illness. It's not an illness that you can actually see, like any other illness, where there is pain, there is deformity. It's an illness which only the couple understands. So, but now I feel that now they are more open to accepting help.
the discomfort of the patients coming up at that point of time, because it used to be a huge challenge that families used to have a notion that tomorrow, if I have to go to an obstetrician, I will go to deliver a child. And the communication between a doctor and a patient as an obstetrician is very different. And I'm sure when you had to come onto this side, not only it was about clinical practice, but it was a lot to do about the communication skills and...
Absolutely. I mean, I remember in the initial few years in infertility, the women would come alone, perhaps with their mother or mother-in-law. The husbands would never come because they assumed that the problem is with you. Now we know that 50% of the cases have some form of male factor. But it took a lot of convincing in the family itself for them to accept. Because I've had so many couples who have come and said that, or the mother-in-law has come and said, it's easy to get my son remarried. Then go through all these investigations. And it's never in our family. Everybody's got through and 4 children. How do they typically tell you that it's nothing to do with us? It's something to do with them. But now that acceptance is there. Now it is known that the first test that we do is the male semen test, which we all do. So now I never see a couple if the husband is not there. The first consultation has to be as a couple. And I think it's taken a lot of courage on our side to refuse to see patients because we know 50% can have male infertility.
And I think that it's very important to be there, literally torchlights. We have to be torchlights for them to help them guide the way forward. But then now, again, I am, because you had to make that choice between an obstetrician and an IVF. Now, everyone wants to take a super specialty. So I'm sticking back to those questions. When it was about just an OBGY, there was a result.
Correct.
We had a result to offer, and it was a happy result. But the biggest challenge, and I think in that time, we could not even vouch on the success rate that we are saying today. So how did you ensure that your practice was different, that the community could choose you over the other more people who had some hierarchy with them? Then the referring doctors could send the patients to you. So what were the couple of things that you did with that limited success as well?
I think empathy to patients, which is very important. As I said before, being transparent with the patients and your communication ability to convince the patient of what problems they have and how you are going to help them sort it out. Patients are very smart. They see you working in the clinic. They see your dedication. They see the long hours you have spent. Now, for that, you have to be a patient sometimes in your life, which I have been. So I have seen my doctor struggling to treat me. I went through a brain tumor surgery in my residency days. So I convinced myself that I should be the one to convince my patient that I will treat you. I will give you a baby. And I tell them, don't worry, we are treated worse than you. So believe in yourself, as I believed in myself, that I will come out of this. And I think that is very important. My doctor was hand-holding me, and I hand-hold my patients. And I tell them, I'm with you in this thick and thin. It's a journey that we both have to do. And they see that you being there at 8:30 in the morning, being there till 8 o'clock, you pick up their phones, you answer their queries, and that's what differentiates you from the rest. Where patients sometimes are on a conveyor belt treatment, they don't see their consultants. In my unit, if a patient gets a positive result, I no longer see her. I don't need to see her. She's happy to see any other staff of mine, my colleagues, and she's happy. If any patient doesn't get a positive result, it is only me who will see her. And that is something, because I go through their sorrow with them. And they realize that, they see that. So that is what differentiates you from just being a doctor to you being a person who's going to heal them. Patients know you give them realistic expectations. You cannot tell a patient in infertility that 100% I'll give you a baby. I tell them this is your problem, your chances are this, but we'll go through this together. We'll find out some way how we can put you into that group which will get the baby against the group that will not get the baby. I've had quite a few patients who have not conceived with me, but refer me their friends. That shows that they tell the patient that, I was unfortunate, I didn't get a baby. But if you need a baby, he's the one who will give it to you. So that is what separates you from the rest. They didn't get a positive, but they still talk about you because they realize that you have gone through the struggle with them. And I think that makes a difference. And for that, I think you need to be a patient.
Very true, sir. I think that's the whole way, rather than making it a formal doctor-patient.
Absolutely.
You make a relationship out of it. And they have seen you standing through their thicks and thins. Also, I remember, sir, you were in Reliance.
Yes.
And then you took the pledge off and you started a very successful center. And how is that decision, because it was also a decision that where you were changing a line from just being a clinician to also being an entrepreneur. And I think we doctors are purely clinicians at heart. How was that journey?
So when I came back from UK, I didn't have any place to start practice. Reliance Life Science, it was the year 1999 when Dhirubhai Ambani wanted to start some turn of the century project. And Reliance Life Science was one of them because biosciences and life sciences was the new buzzword. And I was lucky to head as a medical director for 12 years. And I think that helped me to understand more than science and medicine. It told me how you need to have some amount of business acumen to have a successful practice. And I'm forever indebted to Reliance Life Sciences, although I left to charter a new path as an entrepreneur, which was not easy because I was in such a comfort zone and I was looked after so well that some of my friends thought I'm doing the biggest mistake. Again, the first mistake was to come back from UK, which I don't think it was. And the second mistake is to branch off and start from scratch again. But I think it paid off. I think as an individual, I'm constantly trying to do new things. And I think this was the best decision I took 12, 13 years back, that I wanted to charter myself. And I've done fairly well in that.
And I mean, we have seen that, sir, that you continue to grow, not just in one field, but you explore different things. And with this, I'm reminded of the year when I entered MOGS, which is Mumbai Ops and Gynec Society, the largest sub-society of FOGSI, the National Body of Obstetricians and Gynecologists in India. And I entered like a youth council member. And sir took over as the youngest president of this prestigious society.
Yes.
And coming from a background...
I was only 48 years old.
Yes, sir. So I was coming to that. I came from a background where my mom was president of Amritsar OBGY Society. I saw you. And my first question, standing there, seeing you as the president, was, what was going on in sir's mind? How did he get his opportunity? And most importantly, all the senior people, how were they looking up to you that they were ready to pass that baton of such a prestigious and responsible presidency to you? So
I think I was in the right place at the right time, honestly. I always believed I had some leadership qualities which I thought when I was in school. I was the head boy of the school. I was the troop leader in Scouts. So I did have that thing of leading. And when you become a leader, I think it's very important that your inclusiveness. I was very, very inclusive. I wanted to take not only my juniors, but even my seniors along with me. I think it also means that you listen to your seniors. And I was very fortunate to have two very important people in my life. One was Dr. Shirish Daftari, who was the first person whom I went back when I came back from UK to ask for work. And he guided me and said that, now you take up the reins in emojis, start enter into emojis, because it takes a good 18 years for you to actually become the president now. And he said, enter it soon because you will enjoy it when you're young. And I can't forget and I can't thank him enough, because as a president at 48 years, I could do so much for the society. There was so much of enthusiasm bubbling. I had no qualms of talking to seniors and taking their help. I was inclusive. I wanted all those 28-year-olds also to join me. So it was a fantastic year, and that inspired me to take up other associations. So then I took over the Royal College as their chair for 5 years, and now I'm taking over as the ISAR president.
And I can never forget that one statement you gave it to me when I approached you. Sir, everyone says I'm too young to enter into ISAR. And you said, Garima, age is a number. You have to be young enough to do something for the society. Yeah. And you have, sir, literally stood up for each and every role that you have taken up. So, and I'm very sure that moving from a city-based society where there was, yes, a huge number, but still not the number matching a national organization, you took a huge leap entering into a national level organization, becoming the president of that organization. So what were some key lessons that you learned from being the president of MOGS that helped you climb up to this ladder?
Listen to people.
Wow.
And that was taught to me my consultants in UK. They told me, listen. If you listen to people, you will get the answers also there, because they are actually telling you everything. And that is a one very important trait as a doctor I think we have to develop. We have to listen. And if you listen to your patients, you listen to your colleagues, you listen to your juniors, you understand what exactly is going on in their mind. So I think that art of listening is very important. And that is what, when you go as a national leader, you understand India has got so much different ethnic, cultural, social differences. In Mumbai, actually, we are staying in a bubble, I feel.
Yeah.
You have to go out 100 kilometers to know what the true India is. And being a national leader, I think that was what it was, listening to them. And that is what I still practice. You have to patiently listen to them, because half the problems in patients also, if you don't listen to them, they come back after 10 days because you haven't listened to them enough. And the same thing happens with any organization. You have to be inclusive, that goes without saying, and you have to give everybody a chance. You have to allow them to do it their way. So if there's going to be any regional conference, I guide them, but I don't get into the nitty-gritty because I want their flavor to come out. Every conference cannot be like a conference which is done in Mumbai. A conference done in Vijayawada will have its own flavor. A conference done in Delhi, Jamshedpur, Bhubaneswar, they will all have their own flavor. They're all in their own way different from each other. So if you try to make a mold, it doesn't fit. So you have to listen to them, allow them to do their way, be there to guide them, and give credit where it is due. I think this is very important for our juniors to grow. Appreciate them. Appreciate them in public and scold them in private, is what I always say. I will reprimand somebody in private, but I will appreciate them in public because that is what they need. And that is what will make them grow. If you don't appreciate them, they lose the quality of appreciating their juniors. So if you scold them in public, they scold their juniors in public. You tell them that I didn't want to say it in front of people, but I think this is not right. And put loads of praise to them, make them feel happy, because that is what they want. They want a little recognition for what they have done. And I think if you do that, they will give their life to you. And I've had excellent colleagues who have worked for me, not because they want anything, but they just want an appreciation that, wow, you have done such a fantastic job. So it gives them that enthusiasm to do more. And I think that is very, very important.
And I think so. We are so delighted to have a true leader in form of you as the president of the organization, who's not just talking about the science, but who's also teaching each one of us traits of being first a good human being.
Absolutely. I think that is very important in our specialty.
Yeah.
As a doctor, you have to be a good human being. Also, you don't morally judge your patients.
Right.
Because they tell you so many secrets that they have not shared with their partners also. So you have no right to judge them. They're telling you in the hope that it may help you to treat them better, not for you to judge them. And I think that is something as a doctor we have to learn. We don't morally judge. You listen to your patients. And I always tell everybody, all my colleagues who work with me, spend 2 extra minutes. Let them finish what they want to talk. They want to just get it out. And sometimes some patients come back and tell me, I'm feeling so light and nice now. I've just vented it out to you. So that's what matters, I think. That's what helps. I think you have to give realistic assessment to the patient. I've said this before, but I think it is extremely important in our field where the percentage of failure is higher than success in some couples. And that is what they're supposed to understand. You give them other options. I think as a fertility specialist, we should be the ones who should talk about adoption. As fertility specialists, we should be the first ones to tell the couple, I think you should stop. Because there are other beautiful things in life which are sometimes kept on the back burner, and then they become very, very bitter afterwards because they have neither achieved their goal of having a child and also left lots of opportunities, maybe in their career or finance building or whatever. I also tell the couple that you may feel young, you may look young, but you have to have 20 years of your life after you have had the child. You are where you're physically, mentally and financially fit to look after that child. And each one has to judge when that time is.
So true. And I think this truly defines the characteristics of a good clinician. But I'm also curious to know, you are a clinician and you also became an entrepreneur. So from your journey, if I have to ask you, sir, give me 3 do's that I should be doing if I have to take up this journey of being an entrepreneur clinician, and 3 mistakes that I should be avoiding in this journey of being a clinician and an entrepreneur, what it would be?
So, as a doctor, we are always trained to serve. It is ingrained in your brain, it is a noble profession. So we feel ashamed to earn when you're only a doctor.
Yeah.
When you become an entrepreneur, I think you should be proud to quote your price. And this is something I learned when I became an entrepreneur. Don't do unethical practice. Don't unnecessarily charge the patient, but quote your price, because that is what is important. You are doing a noble job, but that doesn't mean you should do it free. Everybody charges me. If I go to a lawyer, if I go to a solicitor, if I go to a banker, they charge me. And I think it is important that you understand the value of your practice. And that only an entrepreneur can teach you. So when you become a clinician to a clinician and entrepreneur, I think you have to understand that you have to, I still treat some patients not free but at a large discount. People who come from the services, teachers, and my colleagues. But at the same time, I'm happy to quote my price to somebody who can afford it. And I think we should not be shy of earning a practice.
True. I mean, so sir, going forward, because our audience is not just the audience of young doctors, there are people who are setting up a career. There are people who are established in their careers but trying to take up a leader's role. There are people who are trying to become an entrepreneur. And you have been a complete, truly speaking, a package
Not
of
sure
all
on
of
that,
these.
but trying.
No, I can say that I have gone through your journey. I've listened to that. So what's that one mantra of success which holds true for anyone who's entering this world to set up his or her future?
Believe in luck. I strongly believe in luck. Because after everything that you do, some of your patients will not just conceive. And at some point, you feel very low, you feel very sad. But I think with maturity, you realize that maybe they were never destined to have a child. So I think you have to believe that there is some force which is guiding all of us. I think we have to be true to our trade and be passionate about it. Don't look for quick gains. Money will always come. I tell all my colleagues, don't worry, you'll be chased by money. But you have to first put in that effort. That effort has to go in. And don't work for materialistic gains. Don't work to be the number one in my specialty. It means nothing. Today you are number one, but tomorrow you may lose. People will remember you for your kindness, for your sincerity, for your empathy, more than how many successes you give.
Powerful, impactful words.
Honestly, I think that is what it is. They will remember you for your kindness.
Yeah, I mean, it's my take-home message for today. And so, you took over the presidency when we were all, and we still are, into the ART law in the country.
Correct.
And at that point of time, taking up the role of a president to guide now each one of us who's into the practice or who's establishing the practice about the nitty-gritties of the law, what we were discussing today also. What were the real challenges that you observed when you took over the presidency that were there in the ART ecosystem, which you thought that as an organization, with the help of this platform, you'll be able to bridge that or maybe find some solution?
I was also unprepared because the ART law was coming up for some years and we didn't, and suddenly it got announced. Now we must understand that when we fail to self-regulate ourselves, the government steps in. Mm-hmm. So we can't entirely blame the government for coming in and putting maybe some harsh laws. I think we asked for it. We failed to self-regulate ourselves. And this is what I have, as a president, told my members, that we need to regulate ourselves. If you follow the law, nobody can give you any problem. The problem is we fail to self-regulate. And then the stringent laws are brought. Having said that, we have set up a large number of advocacy groups which are in liaison with government, with semi-government agencies, with NGOs, and helping at local levels to solve their issues of the ART law. It's a very complicated law. It is a law which is not fully understood, I think, even by the people who are enforcing it. So there's a lot of gray area. But that happens when bureaucrats are getting into medical practice because they don't understand the medical practice is not maths 2 plus 2 is 4. There's a range of what is good. There's a range of what is not good. And then you have the gray areas. So it will take time before the law gets amended, which it is. There have been lots of amendments. And it is only by us talking to the government and telling them where problems are and having advocacy groups which are talking on our behalf, we'll be able to streamline this. But I think the law is for good.
Yeah.
I don't think it is a wrong thing because, as I said, we failed to self-regulate ourselves in the beginning.
So, sir, under your presidency, some of the initiatives that you are really proud of to take it for ISAR, if we can have a few of them.
So I think my brainchild was the masterclass.
Yes.
And it has been so successful, and I'm so glad and I'm so happy. And I hope it continues because in large conferences, we find that the speakers don't get the adequate time to lecture. There is virtually no time for question answers. So as a delegate, I come to a conference hoping that some of my doubts will get cleared. And when I find that some of my doubts are still unanswered, uncleared, I go back maybe a bit disappointed. So the masterclass was meant as a niche group with a specific topic of interest. You have 3-4 masters who will talk on that topic and they will threadbare it. So that, and you have enough time for question answer. So every delegate who attends a master class has to go back with not a single doubt in mind. They have all, and we have had master classes which have gone up way into the night when they were supposed to end by 5-6 o'clock. We have finished the master class at 9 in the night. So, and the popularity that I find people wanting to register for the next master class. So I think that is one thing that we have, is what I think, if you ask me what has been the most fulfilling thing for me as a president, has been the master class. The other fulfilling thing is that ISAR has got 6,500 members. And we have a large number of IVF specialists in neighboring countries who don't have access to the amount of wealth of knowledge we have here. So we have now started special interest groups in Bangladesh, in Nepal. We'll soon do it in Sri Lanka, where their doctors can come and attend our meetings. Our doctors can go and participate in their meetings and forge better ties. We keep politics aside, but I think for the need of spreading education, awareness, I think this is very important for India being the leader in Southeast Asia.
And I think, sir, that talks a lot about the role of a president when the humongous amount of work that we are Indians doing in this field, that it is high time that we take up that step high up, and even how we look upon ASRM and the European societies, the world looks upon India as a continent, as a country with its own SIG groups, and we have our own recommendations coming up for global acceptance.
Not many people know, but India is the second largest country for IVF after the US.
Yes.
We even do more cycles than UK and Europe put together, or even Japan and Far East Asia put together. So we are doing a lot of work. Unfortunately, we don't have the art and the skill of documenting it and presenting it. But I'm glad to say that ISAR has been given a platform in every major international conference in the last 2 years. We have a dedicated time where we can go and present our Indian data, our Indian work, and it is very well appreciated. So I think we are progressing, and it will be only a matter of few years before India will be recognized as one of the powers of IVF. And that is what I'm dreaming and hoping to have.
We will have, sir. It has been such a rich conversation today. Your stories have not only shown a path of being a good clinician, a good leader, a good entrepreneur, but in larger, a good human being, I think, and that's what is the essence of life. And to everyone listening out there, I would not shy away to say that Sir is truly an epitome to believe in that famous quote, "You are your own limit." I mean,
Absolutely.
and you can see, and this conversation is just not something which is just another podcast chapter for you. It's something where you have really, Sir has thrown up lights into every journey of his, and every journey has a message for us to sit back and ponder over. And I'm so glad to have this insightful conversation, and a lot of work to do back at home today.
I think, Garima, you brought out so much out of me. I must thank you, because I didn't know there was so much I could tell, help people, advise, and offer. And I really hope that with my experiences, with my knowledge, I'm able to treat many more couples, able to guide a lot of my colleagues into successful practices. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. And for all of you who are listening us, please stay tuned, because we have some more voices, some more insights, some very interesting and inspirational stories for our way forward. And we will be getting back with that soon.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm overwhelmed today,
you really
sir.
brought out some nice points, which I didn't know.
I am
didn't
so
exist.
overwhelmed today. I mean, like, there's so much to ponder for me in that
Thank
flight
you.
today.
My mother told me, you don't have money for your child. So that time my mother took my son.
Dr. Sunita won the Guinness Book of World Records for the first ever baby.
Baba, I'm settling in Mumbai. I'm getting opportunity to be in Jasla Hospital. He just looked at me, gave a smile and said, we are going to Pune. And that changed my life. That changed my life. Today when I look back, I say, oh my God, I did this all.